What's up, chefs, foodies, and students? Welcome to Everybody Knows. I'm Anders. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. Today we are looking at the ingredient fenugreek. We have the seeds and the leaves. This ingredient originally comes from Southeast Mediterranean area to Western Asia, and it's currently well known in African, Indian, Middle Eastern, and Mediterranean cuisines. Really large spread. But if you're investigating origins and cultures, be sure to research the time period as well, since many foods are brought to cultures from elsewhere or developed over time. So looking at this ingredient, the seeds and the leaves are actually very different. The seeds are probably what you would most of the time see in most stores. If it was just labeled fenugreek, you're looking at the seeds or a powdered version. And so for the seeds, what we're going to see is sort of a tan color, dried seeds. You'll see some of the husks, kind of like that might come off of a coriander seed. You'll also see some of the inner parts of the seed have sort of a yellowish color to them, but it should look dry and uniform. And then for the leaves, you'll see something that looks very similar to many other dried herbs. I think that it looks very similar to maybe a dried parsley. Talking about the smell, starting with the leaves here, I think that this smells a lot like dried parsley. I think there's a little bit of a difference there. I get sort of like a hay note or straw. It's not terribly strong. I think it's quite a mild aroma. And then for the seeds, we have a much stronger aroma. Definitely has some grainy quality to it, definitely has a spiciness, sort of a muskiness, I would say. It has a very sort of pungent, spicy aroma to it. Let's have a quick look at the aroma wheel. So we will be looking in the category of spicy, and within spicy, we have a subcategory of pungent. And so pungent sort of meaning that there's a strength to it, but sort of a more like a darker, earthy strength. And then within pungent, we have this small musky category, subcategory. And within that, we see fenugreek, meaning the seed, along with curry leaf and cumin, which also sort of have that muskiness within that pungent category. So I think this lends pretty well to the organization. So fetida and turmeric are sort of nearby. I think that is maybe not a perfect transition, but I do think it's sort of the same kind of like pungent, like strong, darker, spicy aroma category. And then as we go further up, we get into a whole gingery subcategory of pungent that fades into citrusy. And so I think, generally speaking, this organization makes sense and works. And then I think with the greens, I don't believe that the greens are on the aroma wheel, but I think they would nestle right into somewhere either near parsley or potentially a musky subcategory of herbs of some kind. So once again, the strength of fenugreek is mild to strong. I would say it isn't going to overwhelm anything, but it's definitely going to be noticeable. Would definitely recommend blending it with other spices. I think the leaves go really nicely in a variety of spice blends as well. They just sort of have kind of a mild, herbal, slightly musky contribution. And I think if you're ever going to buy any of these powdered, I would say do that after you've bought them whole and you really know the aroma, because especially with a powdered green, I think it's easy to con somebody with something that it isn't and to pass it off or to cut it with other ingredients. So first recommendation is always to buy these not ground, but if you have to, just already be familiar with the aroma from the whole version. And let's take a quick look at the flavor Bible. You know, I've seen this mentioned a couple places that fenugreek has some kind of maple sugar quality to it that as you toast it might become more apparent. I find that so fascinating because that's not the association that I have in my mind, but I'm sure that it is also there. So these are the flavor pairings that they recommend. We have beans, carrots, cauliflower, cheese, chilies, cilantro, curries, dals, garlic, Indian cuisine, lentils, Mediterranean cuisine, potatoes, rice, salads, soups, spinach, stews, tomatoes, and yogurt. And that about wraps it up. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about this ingredient, fenugreek, as you are eating or cooking. Have you ever used this ingredient successfully or in a way that you think, yeah, that was so good? What was it? I want to know. And do you agree or disagree with what I've shared with you today, including some of the words that we've used to describe fenugreek? And finally, what ingredient should we look at next? Any of the answers to those questions, throw them in the comments. I would really love to read them. And I hope this video made sense and got you thinking about fenugreek. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to help me get an ingredient to feature in a future video, please send me an email or a private message. And if you would like to join the Food Aroma Nerdery, go ahead and subscribe and you'll see all of my latest videos. And if you would like either a poster or digital copy of this aroma wheel that we are using, have a look in the description for links. Thanks so much. Bye.